Hey listeners, welcome to another season of Cozy One Podcast. We have made it to season 8. This season, I want to shine the light on mama's health, aka women's health, and some of these illnesses that I will be discussing with special guests can also affect men, but I really want to focus on what illnesses women go through and deal with and have to make sure their bodies are in check, have to make sure their diet is in check, especially if they want to carry children or carrying children. And the knowledge of knowing your family history, how important it is for your health and your life. And that's what I wanted to focus on in this season. I hope you guys enjoy all of the guests. We're going worldwide with these guests. I'm talking to women across the water, across the pond, as they call it. I'm talking to women from different walks of life, and I just want you guys to get the information, learn from the information, and take that with you and spread it to someone who, needed more insight on what they're going through or what their symptoms are. I hope you guys enjoy Cozy One Podcast. Don't forget to hashtag Cozy One Podcast. You can find me on Twitter, IG, and Facebook. Welcome back to Cozy One Podcast. My name is Chantal, mama of the girls. This is season 8, episode 7. I wanted to talk about sexual transmitted diseases that affect women. In all seriousness, I think everyone knows of STDs, but I don't think the understanding of how serious an STD is that women can get that may affect them long term is respected. And that's why I wanted to talk about STDs, sexual transmitted diseases that may affect women long term, preventing them to procreate and create children, because certain infections are not being seen or treated in a time frame where it can be helped. That's what we're talking about on this episode.
Hey, it's Anya Dula, and I am the host of Intercultured with Anya Dula. Intercultured with Anya Dula is a podcast that focuses on motherhood, culture, birth work, and travel. And it's just a place for women to come together to discuss our philosophies on motherhood, to discuss our work and birth work, if that's what we do, but mainly to bring women of all different cultures together so that we can talk about how we mother, how we #do motherhood, so that we can learn from one another and learn to love each other. That's really what it's all about. I hope you'll join us. Intercultured with Anya Dula podcast is available on all the major podcast stations. I hope you'll join us. Can't wait to connect.
All right, so I am a 33-year-old woman. I have 2 kids. I've never had an STD, but it doesn't mean I cannot have an STD. It doesn't mean I will never get an STD. It just means I am one of few women who have never experienced an STD by my age. But I am also a 33-year-old woman with only 7 direct partners. And I say direct partners because indirect partners are important too. And I don't think people take in account the indirect partners they are actually allowing to come through direct partners that they have sex with. Because if I was having sex with a man who had unprotected sex with 6 other women in the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I decided to have unprotected sex with that man, then that means I am now exposed to what those other 6 women had sexually. And that does play a big part in the transmission of different sexual diseases being passed on to many people. So protecting yourself during sex, especially with people you are not committed to, and I think people who are committed to other people should also still protect themselves in sex, because not everybody is comfortable or ready to be direct and honest about who they have sex with, when they have sex with them, and how they have sex with them. So it's better to be safe than sorry. Now, the first disease I wanted to talk about that's transmitted sexually is chlamydia. Chlamydia is on the rise in the United States among all races, but predominantly Black women are discovering that they're getting chlamydia a lot more. And this could be due to our society being more sexually driven, due to the change in family structure, and there might not be a mother or a father in the same household. And if there are mothers and fathers in the same household, their work schedule is a lot different than when it was 20 years ago. So they're not that much involved. They're not at home a lot. I think a lot of family structure is not respected. Therefore, there's a lot of kids raising themselves. There's a lot of kids figuring out what sex is by other children, other teenagers. There's a lot of teenagers right now looking like grown women. The clothes is very tight. It's very revealing. And listen, they got energy and they're putting it into sexual acts, and I think this is where these numbers climb. Chlamydia is on the rise, and it's a bacteria infection that can be painful when you pee. Some people don't even show symptoms and they still pass it. When people cheat and have unprotected sex, it can come up. You can have vaginal, anal, or oral infections due to chlamydia. Sometimes people have no symptoms. Sometimes people may experience symptoms. It can be treated, but it has to be seen to be treated. It has to be it has to be understood that, okay, there's something wrong. This is what I have. Let me go see somebody. And I don't know too many young people today willingly being in contact or being able to call or go to their physician to go ahead and get a sexual infection seen or looked at. Nor do they have the enough maturity to put their pride to the side and come to grips that they have something. And so it keeps getting passed on. And I don't know about you, but what I'm seeing is this generation has a lot of different words for different sexual favors. And we have apps where sexual favors are easy to be accessed by more strangers. You have Tinder. You have, what's the other one? The other app where you can basically exchange sexual favors, things that you like, something arrangements. Like, it's so much access to stranger sex these days that it's scary, and I don't know why people aren't more afraid. But another illness, it's not funny, it's just really is always baffling to me, to people who don't care and are willing to take the risk on their bodies. And it's not like, oh, I have 10 more bodies that I could put on in my closet just in case something happens to this one. No, you have one body, and don't let a decision today affect a decision that you're making today for the rest of your life, where some diseases that you can get sexually can cause infertility where you cannot create human beings. You cannot create a child. You can adopt, you can You can take care of kids that aren't yours biologically, but you won't be able to have your own children biologically because of your sex choices. And I just think it takes more responsibility on a woman's part and on a man's part to understand that what I do and what decision I could possibly make today can affect someone else's life for the rest of their life. Gonorrhea is another sexually transmitted disease that can happen when people have unprotected sex. It's a bacterial infection. Untreated can cause infertility. It can be passed by mother to baby by ways of pregnancy, labor, or nursing. There are some women that don't know that they have gonorrhea until they're in labor. And then that baby has to be delivered by C-section just to prevent them passing through the vagina. Listen, it's real, okay? Discharge can be painful when a woman pees. Men can have testicle pain due to having gonorrhea. So just be mindful that these things do exist, and this is important, and this is real. This is not just, 1 in 1,000 million, quadrillion people get this. No, the numbers are very common, very high, and a lot of people let this stuff go untreated. HIV and AIDS, again, unprotected sex, not being tested for any sexual transmitted diseases. What HIV and AIDS does is it interferes with your body's ability to fight off infections. So the way that your body is normally supposed to fight off infections, when you may have HIV or AIDS, it can be very hard to fight off infections. Yes, a lot of people do live with HIV and AIDS, but if it can be prevented, do what you need to do to prevent that. Okay, not everybody is honest, not everybody is direct, and not everybody is forthcoming as to what their sexual preference is, what they do, how responsible they are when it comes to that. They're just not. Okay, so it's better to be sure now than to be sorry later. A lot of women need to understand the importance of pH balance. Okay, they need to understand what is BV. Oral without protection is also an issue. Oral protection is very important. There are condoms. There are items called dental dams. I've never used a dental dam. Don't know what it looks like. I can Google it. I can look it up in a book, or I can research it if I wanted to do something sexually oral with another person that I'm unsure about. Okay? Getting sexual transmitted diseases through giving oral to people is very common. You have common things like syphilis, herpes, viral hepatitis. It can happen in your mouth. It can happen in your vagina. It can happen in your penis. It can happen in your anus. If you have a throat infection or you have a sore throat, you might think it's a cold, but it's probably going to be chlamydia in your throat. You can also have an infection in your rectum, okay? You can also have rectal discharge due to you having an STD. So all these things sound super gross, super invasive, and super embarrassing, yet people are just out here giving oral to people they just met, out here giving oral to people in their cars, out here giving oral to people they're unsure about, people that they know they're having relationship problems with them being committed, relationship problems with them being honest, and you're just out here just going in. And we need to be more on top of our health as far as sexual transmitted diseases. It's not a game. It's very serious, and I think a lot of us, young and old, just shrug it. And if you're someone that doesn't care about your body, okay. Be with other people that don't care about their bodies either, and go ahead and take that risk. But the reality is nobody has this discussion. Nobody wants to talk about it, and people aren't honest about what they care about if they're a priority to themselves in life, if they actually care about their bodies, and other people pay the cost. Sometimes a good time don't need to be yours. Sometimes just that one time would be that time. It was that one time. So, women, please, please, please get yourself tested. Pay attention to your body. Listen to your body. Take a look at, discharge. There's healthy discharge that a woman can have, and there's discharge that's not healthy. If something is not smelling right, if something is not smelling pleasant, if something is not looking correct, go get checked. Men, the same thing. If something doesn't feel right about your testicles, if something doesn't feel right about your penis, if you're understanding that, yes, I did have unprotected sex with such and such, but that's my boo, that's my girl though, I don't think anything would happen, I don't think she would X, Y, and Z, you never know. So do whatever you need to do to be sure. Do whatever you need to do to protect yourself, because, again, you get one body, and some decisions you make today will affect your forever tomorrows. Thank you for listening to Cozy One Podcast. I hope this episode will help a woman out there, a man out there be more serious about their bodies, protecting their bodies, choosing sexual partners, being responsible about the people they choose. Peace. Bye.
Bye.